Oh,
Oh, well,
Nice one, Katie.
that's definitely how
Andrea.
we started the stream.
Andrea,
Hello.
hi to the stream. I'm just going to get Facebook up now and see if it captures us all doing funny dance.
Yeah.
Who's got the best hair these days for like bobbing around and stuff?
Everybody's just got long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frizzy.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm losing the long hair battle, but even for me, it was pretty long.
You're making a valiant effort, Paul.
Valiant effort.
Valiant effort.
That's what I, really try to achieve most days. Oh yeah, I can see people here, and the first person I see has commented is Cindy.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, give us a wave or a comment, people, if you're
come and say hi.
In.
Absolutely.
I can see. Oh, we're up to 98 people already. Bianca is second in.
It's
Marie as well.
It's a strong showing for the for women on International Women's Day.
Women's Day.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant, and the posts, Andrea, I've just seen going out on our page shows quite how many amazing women we have in the VOCES8 Foundation.
Yeah, them and more. You know, there's so many more people who do bits and pieces all over the place for us. I just can't cram them all in.
I know, it's very hard to know, isn't it? how to capture in the essence of everybody, because there's so many. Susie also says happy IWD. Absolutely. Valerie's here from Shropshire. Sarah's here from Northern Ireland. Urska from Slovenia. Oh, brilliant. So many people from all over the world joining us. Jeffrey's here from Jakarta, Indonesia. Hello. And we've got friends in Bloomington, Indiana joining in as well. It's almost one of the most exciting moments of any workshop, isn't it? Forget the content of what happens.
I just want to see who comes.
Everybody commenting.
who is here from where? It's very exciting. We have Boston, Massachusetts as well. Hi, Kathy. Stephanie's here. Nice to see you, Stephanie.
And Alison, hello.
Oh, this is brilliant. We're climbing towards the 200 mark. That's very exciting. Karen's here as well. This is brilliant. Thanks to everyone for coming. Jackie, hello in Milwaukee. Big shout outs to everyone we're seeing here. Ottawa, Canada is now represented by Jessica. Oh, it's all going on.
And Jen's here. Jen Newberg from Minneapolis.
Oh, hi, Jen.
My American mom. Hello.
Basically, we're just going to spend the whole hour just waving at people. Katie, you're doing some really good waving. I'm really impressed by your waving so far. Yeah, it's very good.
Warming my body up in advance.
Just really working on those key waving skills. And what's your waving style? It's hard to know, isn't it?
I'm an open-hander.
Open palmer, kind of side to side. No floppy wrist, just side to side, really strong.
Sounds like really strong.
This is why people have turned up. I know, it's to discuss waving styles. Well, I think we've given a couple of minutes. Oh, hi, Matthew James. Nice to see you. And it's great to have so many people here. Way over 200 now. So I think we've got enough to legitimately make a start. And so I'm just going to speak very quickly. Little update. You girls can tell me if I mess anything up or if I say anything totally inaccurate or if I forget to say anything, and then I'll leave all you wonderful people to your Upper Voices session. The first thing to say, obviously, is that yes, this is an Upper Voices session, but it's absolutely open to anyone. So it doesn't matter if you're soprano, alto, tenor, or bass, you are very welcome to come and hang out. And in fact, if you are a tenor or a bass, it's quite a nice opportunity to be able to practice with some of the other parts. So whilst these guys are singing soprano and alto, you can join in and have a practice. Or if you're someone like Bianca, I think, Bianca, you were probably singing tenor last time you joined us for the lower voices, I think. So, you can all just have a go at learning a new part and finding out some of the skills involved, some of the dark arts connected to all of these different vocal parts. When I say dark arts, Katie, I'm probably talking about altos, aren't I? Because, they are absolutely the masters of the dark arts.
I own it. I love it.
Altos and basses, tenors and sopranos just get melody the whole time, don't they? Isn't that the rule? We'll see if Blake turns up to disagree, but that's how I've always felt it to be. Anyway, we're getting lots of comments on the best type of way to wave and greet people as well. I'm liking the Star Trek references. Excellent.
Yes. Sorry, I did do this.
Little one.
Just a little one.
Live long and prosper. Was that it? Now, just for those of you who are maybe turning up for the first time and wondering how you've stumbled upon this workshop, this is connected to an event that's going to be taking place on the 21st of March, which is drawing ever closer. And that is called Singing London. It's going to be happening at 7 p.m. UK time. There's going to be a workshop at 5 p.m. UK time. And I'm sure information is going to appear in these chat boxes during the next hour or so. But if you want more information, you can just go to the website, www.VOCES8 Foundation, and you can find all the stuff you need to know there. And critically, if you go to the page called Singing London for the 21st of March, you can see all the previous workshops that have already happened in one easy place, so you don't have to scroll around anywhere. And so you can catch up, and you can also find all the resource pack information that you need. So you can find links to our digital academy. If you haven't been to our digital academy yet, I'd strongly recommend checking it out. I know hundreds of you have been since these workshops, so that's really great to hear. We launched the VOCES8 Digital Academy last September, and we've been continuously populating it with new material ever since. And the academy really caters, we hope, for everybody. So whether you're after a very serious piece of some of the great choral works that I think we're going to look at a bit today, or whether you just want to warm up about hot chocolate, you can go there and have a good time, and there will be something there for you. So do check all that out. Today's session, Andrea, what are we going to be looking at in our session today?
Oh, we've got all sorts of things lined up. So we're going to look at some things we didn't look at in the previous sessions with the upper voices. So we're going to have a little look at a new piece by an American friend of ours, Eric Choate, called Keep Watch, and a look at Stanford's Beati Cor Via, one of the favourites of the repertoire, and I'm sure lots of you are familiar with this already. So we're going to get sort of a revisit of that piece. And then also a piece by Kevin Allen called O Sacrum Convivium, which the boys started looking at in their last session, I know. So we're going to look at maybe the top line of that and how it works with their lines.
That sounds pretty cool. I think, in fact, now I've asked that question, I've reminded myself that I can leave, can't I? That's nice. I promise I will still be staying with you, but I think it's probably best for the rest of the world if my dulcet soprano tones are heard only in this mirrored little room, and we save the rest of the world for the proper voices that you three have. So I'm going to say goodbye, but I will be enjoying the session, and I hope you have a lovely time. And thank you all so much, and happy International Women's Day to all of you. Oh, we should probably also mention Joanna McGregor at some point, but Andrea, I'm sure you can drop that in, because that was an awesome concert last night. Oh, just amazing. Yeah, anyway,
slot that in.
Have a nice session, and I will see you soon. Bye, everyone. Bye, girls. Bye.
Right, well, I think it's best that we start off, as ever, with a little bit of a warm-up. Just try and get our bodies a little bit ready for a little bit of music making and some singing. So I'm going to do this sat down with you guys as well. So let's just start by rolling our shoulders back. So big, really big circles. So if you put your hands on your shoulders and then draw huge circles with your elbows. If you imagine you have really big boards either side of you, big circles, and really find the extremities all the way down, all the way forward, and all the way up. Oh, it hurts. Very good. Okay, and just shake them down a few times. Great, and then we'll do the opposite, so we're going to make circles all the way forward this time. Great. Big circles all the way. Find the edges of doing that. Very good. And then just do 1 and 2 backwards and shake down just to reset. Very nice. And give yourself a little massage as well, just where your shoulder and neck meet, just to get that really nice and relaxed. Get the fingers digging in there. I'm dying to get a massage and I'm still not allowed to get one over here. So fingers crossed for April. I have deep need. And the other side. Great. And then just have a little massage up the back of your neck as well, up to where the top of your spine meets your head. That can often get a little bit tender, especially if we're a bit tired or a bit run down. So giving that a little bit of a massage. And then all the way underneath on the side here, follow the line of your skull all the way around the sides here and right down to the front where it meets your jaw. And just give that all a really nice rub and bring down to the front of your jaw. Give it a nice rub here too. Really nice and loose. It's another thing that often gets us is a jaw tension. So just making sure that's really nice and loose. And if you just massage just in front of your ears and open your jaw and feel that gap open up there and just give that a bit of a rub and wiggle. Great. And bring your fingers round here to the front with cheekbones and across your nose and go nya 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 nya. Nya 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 nya. Very good. Really nice, nasty nasal sound now. Okay. Nya 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 nya. Fabulous. Fabulous witchy sounds. And right round your forehead. And then background down here, we're just going to draw our faces down a bit and go, oh. And again, oh. Great. So really, really nice, relaxed. Okay. Feeling a little bit better. Make sure your nose is nice and warm. It's important. And just stretch out your fingers for me. Very good. And roll your tongue around the inside of your mouth. And the other way. And go blah. Lush. I wish I could see all of you and not, I mean, Eleanor and Katie's faces are enough, to be honest. All right, very good. So let's just start doing some little bit of sound making now. So just really, really nice and gentle. Don't bother too much about being really precise about pitches and things like that. We're just working on getting the voice going. So, and up a little bit. Really concentrate on making them really nice and smooth. I always use the Nutella on a piece of bread analogy of just imagine that, you know, that really smooth ripple that goes with the knife. If you get a really good amount of Nutella on the knife and you just smooth it across the bread, and it just almost that sheen and gleaming sight of Nutella. Just think about that. Always really, really nice and smooth between the notes. Okay, we're not being too. Let's try that. And great. And we're going to go a little bit further this time. So we're going to go and cover an arpeggio as well. So and very nice. Now we're going to go up a little bit. We're going to open at the top. So we're going to start on a hum. And then when we get to this top note, we're going to then open onto an R. And bring the R down. So it sounds like this. And very good. I like to think sometimes if we need a little bit of extra energy to get us up and over the top notes, especially altos, if it's getting a little bit a tall high for you, just thinking about the sort of getting that engine turbine kind of spinning underneath you around where you're supporting and using your muscles in your body. So just thinking about that kind of constant energy that's spinning underneath you to keep it all kind of floating on the top. So let's just do one more of those. It's also really useful to use that M to really help us open up. Try to use it as a kind of a little launch pad as we're coming up. Okay, very good. Now we're just going to do a little bit just to get our diaphragms kind of a little bit more active and make sure we're all awake there. So what we're going to do is a little sound exercise. We're going to start off using the sound FT. Okay, so it's like an F, T, D, I guess. FT. Okay, so we're going to start off with it really kind of like nice and detached. So we're going to go fdee, 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 and then we're going to stretch out fdee. Okay, and we're just going to do one straight after the other. So I'll do it once through and then we can do it together. Fdee, 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 and fdee, 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 fdee. Great, and if you've got space, using your hands as well is often a really useful thing. I think we spoke about this possibly a bit last time. It's actually useful for kind of partly distracting us from overthinking our singing, but also just, you know, thinking about the direction of that technique can help us. Great, so now different sound, similar, we're going to do it to fdor, okay? Fdor, fdor, let's go there, and fdor, 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 fdor. Okay, and let's do one more, fdor, like that, and fdor, 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 fdee, 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 fdee. Okay, and this time we're going to go on. When we're stretching on our fdee, I want you to pull out to the sides, and this time I want you to keep pulling right to the end. So instead of pulling out on the way up and then down on the way down, I want you to keep going when you come the way down as well, okay? So fdee and fdee, 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 fdee. Okay, because you can hear that that's kind of, you know, so often we get to ends of phrases and we kind of like fall off the ends of them because we see notes coming down and we think, phew, that's getting easier. Or we're getting a little bit to the end of our breath. So it's useful just to think about really maintaining that support and that kind of stretch right to the ends of phrases instead of being sort of tricked into letting go a little bit at the end. Well done. Feel free to take those and use them in your own practice and extend them as you wish. But I think for now, let's get singing.
Ooh, singing. I'm really enjoying like watching the three of us on here, but it's even weirder watching us back when we're the other way around. Just like so odd, but yeah, I hope you're all enjoying it.
How much was your tummy rumbling during the Nutella exercise?
Oh, bad, really bad.
Elle's given up chocolate for Lent, which is an absolute nightmare.
It's not been going well.
Oh no.
Guys, I'm sorry. The Nutella also did not help. It just made me think of food. But anyway, singing, let's do some of that. Cool. So first we're going to look at the Eric Choate piece that Andrea mentioned. So Eric Choate is a friend of ours from the States, composer from San Francisco, and this is called Keep Watch, Dear Lord. If you want to try and find it in the pack, we'll be looking at the notes on the score for this. So this piece is quite reflective in terms of kind of the emotion we're going for. So it's a prayer, and we're asking basically Jesus to basically watch over those who are struggling and who are suffering. I think it's probably quite appropriate for the time that we're in. Kind of, you know, it's not an easy time at the moment. So if you want to channel emotions, probably channel what you're feeling at the moment. Great. So we'll just look at some kind of overarching things that can be applied to the whole piece, and then we can look at some more specific little bits.
Shall I set the screen share so that you can take us through some bits of the score?
Sure, yeah, that would be great.
Let's go.
Lovely. Great. Okay. So yeah, it's got some interesting harmonic movement, but I think the big things that are going to make this piece really kind of good overarching themes to think about are probably getting a good tempo and making sure that we're getting the flow of the piece quite right, and thinking about how we use the text as well. So even in the first phrase, so we're in 4/4, and I think it'd be quite easy for us to think about it in 4 and go, keep watch, dear Lord, with those who... And instead, I think we should probably think about it in 2, think about it as flowing. And similar to Andrea's example in her warm-ups, thinking about that stretched sound, and we're thinking really through the phrases, will really help to create a nice spacious sound while also helping us with our breath control. So we can kind of look at the articulation and look at the like the commas and stuff and use them as well, but just kind of use them in the phrase and kind of bounce in and out rather than stopping. So keep watch, dear Lord, with those who watch. Just kind of really think through them and find the lilt in the phrases, and that can be applied the whole way across the piece. And we've got a really good word. We've got the word weep in our first phrase here, and that the W's, I find we've got quite a lot of them throughout the piece actually, but weep and also weary, we've got a bit later on. You can really use the W. Watch, oh, weep this night. Really use that consonant to create a lovely color. And also make sure you definitely pronounce the P, because otherwise it's a very different word and we don't like that. So Katie found that one great. But P's are so hard to pronounce. So I think it's a really good thing to kind of like put a little thing in your score and be like, make sure I say this word properly. Great. Let's have a little look at the next phrase. If we go down a little bit. So in this phrase, we've got a lot of different time signatures. And I think that we can read that and panic and find it a bit of a hindrance and be like, oh, I need to count every single beat of every bar. And again, that can end up sounding quite mathematical. But the way that I kind of been thinking about it is, Eric's put it this way to make sure that we emphasize the right parts of each sentence. So keep watch, dear Lord, and give thine angels charge over those who sleep. So we need to be emphasizing the kind of the first beats of the bar. That's what he's going for, I think, here. So just have a little sing through. Keep watch, dear Lord, and give thine angels charge o'er those who sleep. So we don't want to be going, keep watch, dear Lord, and give thine. We don't want it to be broken up, kind of similar to what we were talking about in the first phrase. So don't panic when you see the different time signatures. It does make sense. And it can be helpful to kind of speak through the text as well and see how it makes sense in that way. Cool. We get some beautiful harmony over the next phrase. Katie, we're going from quite a quiet sound to an even quieter sound in bar, what have we got there? Bar 16. Would you mind singing for us from the middle of bar 11 and just talk to us a bit about how you're creating the color here? That would be really, really lovely, and we can explore that a bit.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've possibly heard us workshop this idea on colour before. So it's, when we want to sing really softly, we're just using the edges of our voices. It's one of the beauties of working within a small ensemble, in that you don't have to make the most beautiful sound the whole time, but you do need to be able to make an effective sound, and we're making an effective sound when we're doing this kind of a thing. So I'm going to encourage you all, we'll start on that first note, so that just the C sharp there, and can you just hum it really, really lightly? Here we go, and can you see if you can hum that even quieter? So really just letting the folds come together. It's okay if it's a little bit shaky, that's fine. Here we go. It's quite an intimate sound. I find it only ever trebles really about that far. And all that we're going to do is we're going to open that up to, let's go for because we've got our first word as being tend. Now, challenge. I challenge you for the not to be louder than the hum. Have a go, see how it goes. It's all right if it's shaky. Ella's like,
Whoa!
And it is hard. I think when you first join VOCES8, this is one of the hardest things to learn. It's a sound that we use a lot on our Decca albums, and they are exhausting for an entirely different reason, not because we're always going full pelt with the voice, but because of having to hold the voice in this way. So let's start. We're holding that hum really quietly, and then we're going to open to an for tend, and we're going to keep that sound as quiet as we kept the hum. That's how we go. So starting on a hum. I don't know how well you can hear my voice, but my voice is shaking just a very little bit. Is if you had it on a diagram, be doing that a little bit, and that's absolutely fine because we're wanting that fragile sound, we're wanting that really tender sound, and it's from there that we then crescendo out and crescendo back and then decrescendo back to, and really try and find that quiet place. So maybe that sound that we just created is the pianissimo that we get to for Bless the Dying. So try and taper where you are according to that. So I'm going to sing through the alto part because I'm an alto. And we're going to go from 10 to the 6. So 10, I'll give you 1, 2, 10, and so forth. So 1, 10, the sick, Lord Christ, give rest to the weary, bless the dying, soothe. Let's have another go at that, because I think I can do more with dynamics that time. I think I kind of went a bit half-hearted. So give it one more go. If you're singing if you're a soprano, sing the soprano part along with me. I'll try and beat it out this time so it's really clear as to where we're going from. If you're an alto, you're welcome to sing with me. Tenors, basses, I mean, you do whatever you want to. Same bits. That's the C sharp. And if you're a soprano, that's your A. So 1, 10, the sick, Lord Christ, give rest to the weary, bless the dying, soothe. Okay, that's just about there. I think my beating could have been done better, but it's really using your voice to go dramatically with it. Elle.
Thank you, Katie. That's wonderful. Yeah, your beating is far better than mine, so I'm just like wafting away over here. It's really fun. Nice free sounds. But yeah, so basically all of what Katie said can be applied to the whole piece. It's finding that really kind of tender, beautiful sound that's right on the edge of the folds. And then you can grow into it through the MF, which I find quite hard in the soprano part because it's lower down. It's quite hard to grow into that when we've been high up in our voice, to make that sound really tender and then it sound richer at the bottom when it's naturally going to be louder when it's higher up in your voice. So yeah, definitely worth having a little look through that and experiment with how vulnerable you can be with your sound up there.
Yeah, I think it's really important, like you're saying, to think about not necessarily how to make it louder, but how to make maybe what comes before it a bit softer. So because we're a bit up high, like making sure that give before the rest just doesn't stick out too much, and actually maybe holding that back is going to let us give more, or appear to give more on the rest in the lower note. Yeah,
definitely. And then coming away for the Bless the Dying, which got sotto voce. I often I'm a bit cheeky. I tend to put quite a lot of breath through the sound to create the fuzzy warm bless the dying. You can do quite a lot with the text there as well, a lot of the bless the dying. But you don't want to go too over the top. I definitely can go too over the top with consonants and it's not always appropriate, so choose your moments. Andrea, could you possibly actually sing the next phrase, because it's a really beautiful, from the soothe. It could just be up until at the beginning of pity, because I have a feeling we'll have some sopranos kind of wondering how to create that really smooth, lovely sound up there. If you wouldn't mind singing through that and chatting.
I'm just gonna locate the score, because I'm going to navigate through the score at the same time, but I have many windows up.
Many windows. Andrea is our tech queen.
So if we're thinking about soothing, we want to make sure that we're really really embodying the words here. So thinking using the words and using the consonants to help us find that, I think, is really really useful. So just going from that C sharp at the bottom of the page there, hopefully you can, if you're a soprano, you can just about see what's coming on the next page at the bottom there as well, but I'll try and scroll down for you altos and any tenors and basses who are following along as well.
Multi-talented.
I don't know, I haven't done it yet. Okay. So sorry, I can't multitask, I've just proved that. Start again. Soothe. thinking really kind of stretching as you come up into that head voice note of the F sharp, which is, it's a really beautiful moment that Eric's put in there. You get that really suffering, and it really lets us kind of get the emphasis then down onto the suffering. And you can see how he's written obviously the you know, the rhythm of the words there to really suit the sort of spoken word rhythm in the top part there. So really trying to use that as you know, direction is going right towards suffering at the end of that line. So it's soothe the suffering, and we need to make sure we arrive there.
Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, I think I can see by Andrea's face like how relaxed she is when she's up there. She's not thinking about the individual notes. It's very much about the line. And it can be quite an indulgent moment. I think it's probably the first moment where we're like, ooh, sopranos, we get to sing high and floaty. So enjoy that. Whereas Katie has her moment in the next bar, pity. They probably aren't even the right notes. But I realize we'll have to move on fairly soon, but we just get into the interesting bit. Yeah, this next bar is really fun. So I'm sure Katie could talk for ages about how to use the consonants and the harmony here. But yeah, enjoy it. If you're whatever part you're singing, it's a really fun bar, and make sure you're listening to what is coming before you so that you're nice and in time. Yeah, cool. I think we should probably move on for now, but keep having a look at the notes, because they're not the easiest, but it's a really beautiful piece. We get to come back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also just that bit that you got to thinking, you know, what you were saying about sort of thinking about things a little bit bigger and thinking of phrases rather than, you know, indulging too much in individual notes. The same goes on a slightly bigger scale, I think, for these different sort of clauses and different parts of the sentence that we've got on here, because it can be very easy for us in all sorts of pieces, you know, to chop things up into 2 or 3 bars at a time and then sort of stop and then start again. And actually we want to make sure that we still have this really nice line going through to make sense of the words, you know, that soothe the suffering, pity the afflicted, shield the joyous. You know, we want to make sure we get that sense of rhetoric in as well. So that idea definitely carries on in lots of different scales within the piece.
Hugely. Great. All right. Are we on to Beati now?
2, maybe possibly slightly more familiar ground, but also hello to Eric, because Eric is on the chat. Hi, Eric. So thanks for tuning. I hope that we've said not wrong things.
Sorry if we have, but interpretation, you know.
Should we just start by singing through Beati?
That's a good idea.
I'll share a score.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Right, share bit of Beati. I will just, you know, confirm for those out there that this is despite the notice at the top of this is now out of copyright. Good. Right, I think we can all see that. And finding, I'm going to just find your score. Do you want to I'm just going to prep the score, Katie. Do you want to just give us a couple of things to think about?
Absolutely. So as we're going through it, the things that we're going to talk about today particularly are the idea of tempo and how we keep this piece moving, and also the idea of tension and release, so how long the phrases are and what we can do with our voice and how we can support our voice in order to achieve some of those things. So we're going to sing through the whole piece now. We'll probably today only talk about the first half. I'll leave the lads something to do in their session later this week because it's an epic piece and I don't want to take the joy of them being able to do some of this away from them. That would be really sad. So start thinking about tempo, thinking about the movement of the piece, and thinking about tension and release in long phrases.
Great.
Thank you, Andrea. I love singing. I just love that piece. It's one of those ones that like, it's just a balm on any day. It just makes you feel a little bit better, a little bit warmer inside. Can we
Blessed
actually?
are those who can scroll quick enough to get through the piece on the score.
Yeah, well done. Can we move away from the score just for a little bit? Because we're going to start by just thinking about the tempo. And I'm hoping that quite a few of you will probably know that beginning section. If you don't, you can find a score. Anne has pinned it in the chat. These are all of the scores for the Singing London.
It's also in the description at the top if you can't see that.
Beautiful. Have a check through that. Beati is on the 12th page. And to be honest, in this bit, we're probably not going to get past about page 14, so maybe page 3 max. And we're just looking at the beginning section and thinking about things that we have to think about when we're going to put this on stage. The first thing that always comes up, and I know we're all singers, we're not necessarily all conductors, is what the heck we do with the tempo. If you don't know the translation of this piece, the translation of this piece is "Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of the Lord." And in VOCES, and particularly this is one of Barney's favourite ideas, is the idea of having that walking tempo through this piece. So Beati, we're probably not going to go Beati with our feet. It's more one in a bar. So it's a very stately walk. I imagine as if you're walking down the middle of a huge abbey or a huge cathedral with a massive train behind you, that kind of a stately walk, one after the other. So we're thinking more in 1 than we are in 3. And I think that's quite vital. It is marked in 3/4, so 3 crotchet beats per bar. But I think we should treat it with 1 in a bar. And I want to experiment with you guys. I want you to feel what the difference is when we're doing it in 3/4 compared to when we're doing it in 1. So we are going to do a bit of conducting. If we're conducting in 3/4, we go down, out, and up. Now I'm left-handed, so I'm doing it with my left hand. If you're right-handed, please do it with your right hand. So you're going to go down, out, and up, or down, out, and up. And this is your 1, 2, 3. We're going to have a go at singing through that very first bit in the upper voices of Beati. So if you're a soprano, you'll be going Beati. Oh, I have a friend. Can I admit a friend quickly? I don't have a friend. We all have a friend.
A friend. Who is it? It's Molly. Hi. Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
For people who haven't met Molly, Molly is the next L.
Soprano elect, I like to call
Soprano
it.
elect.
That's the right word for it. Completely forgot that. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, we're doing well.
Good.
We're learning some conducting.
Oh,
So we're looking at Beati Quorum-V, and we're looking at the difference between singing in 3/4 and singing it 1 in a bar. So we've just learned 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for conducting in 3. I'm going to sing the alto part, but you're welcome to sing the soprano 1 part, soprano 2 part at home, or whatever you want to, tenors and basses, take your pick, whatever. And we're going to first time start by just conducting it in 3. So there's the first note. I'll give you 1, 2, 3, and then I'll give you a breath. So no, I'm not going to give you 1, 2, 3. I've changed my mind. So 1, 2. Beati quorum integra est. Now in 3, that's a lot going on. This hand is moving very fast. I can see the. Did you all do okay with that one?
I'm just thinking, because we're not going to read it at the same time as you, so I apologise for everyone at home that will get us all at different times there. But it's going to be, just watch Katie.
It's going to be Katie. So we're trying to find this really peaceful place and this idea of stately walking. But if we're doing a hand like this, we're not going to be able to get very much line in what we're doing. It also becomes very, very notey. So the reason why we put it into 1 is to get a little bit more of a longer phrase into it, to make it a bit more overarching rather than individual. So if we're conducting in 1, we're often going in circles, and I like circles for this piece. So you have 1, 1, 1, and your arm is working a bit with gravity, so it can feel quite heavy, and it's a slow 1, 1, have a go with me. So just join in. It doesn't matter which hand. You can do your left hand or your right hand. So you've got a little bit of a rush towards the end, but otherwise it's just kind of dropping slowly and getting through there. Nice. Let's have a go at singing it through in one. So there's your first note. I'll give you one beat to start with. So we go. One. And it just gives us a bit more of an idea of phrasing. It gives us a little bit more bounce through the line, but without it becoming super duper notey. We're going to go a step further. So that's why we put it in one. We put it in one to keep everything flowing, and it keeps the tempo going really, really well. However, we want to make these phrases even longer. So I think if I'm looking at this first phrase, so that's from pretty much the whole, I was going to give you bars, but I don't have bar numbers. So all of that section that I've just sung, we'd tend to put in voces into one phrase. So it's just the one phrase, and it's got its peaks and it's got its troughs, rather than splitting it up. And we do that by putting tension and release in our voice. Now this is good tension. This is stretching out musical tension, as well as a little bit of tension that we have down here to keep our breath support going. And I want to play with you guys. We're going to do what it feels like to have no tension in the music at all, to what it feels like to have some, and what the difference is, how we create that difference, and why it's important. Andrea, I think yours is probably one of the most important parts to deal with tension. Could you have a go for me at singing through the soprano line of just that amount, and first time, without any musical tension in the line? So as if you're kind of your note reading, you've not seen the score before, and you're just working out where the notes are.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
Awesome. I'm asking super musical people to sing with no musicality.
I'm trying to be very plain. It's just so ingrained from my childhood.
Yeah, absolutely. So things you might have noticed about that line is that all of the notes are quite straight. It's often a little bit of a clunk to the next note up, of just, here we are, one note, next note. I'd say probably no notes were louder than other notes. They're all pretty equal. Can you contrast that now by what you would probably do with that line if you're trying to be really musical and really stretch it out? Awesome. So I don't know about you guys, but I immediately notice how you swell through the longer notes, so how that grows. There's a huge there's a lot more varying of dynamics in that, which is lovely. It's a lot more legato as well. Andrea, to you, what does it feel like in your body, one compared to the second one?
The first one, yeah, it's very plain, and to me doesn't at all acknowledge the other parts that are going on. So when I was singing the second demonstration with more kind of a little bit more movement, that's because I can hear the other parts in my head, and I'm thinking about where that harmony is going. So you're saying, I'm growing through that long note. That's because the two parts beneath are coming up to meet me, and they're on their own journey underneath, and I kind of come and join the path, So I'm kind of trying to think about the fact that it's this constantly moving thing, and actually this circle that you were conducting with is so useful, because it's actually not a movement that ever stops. It is a perpetual. There is always motion. Nothing is ever heavy or staying in one place. We can sometimes get a bit stuck if we're working vertically or horizontally conducting, but actually circles are really great for this feeling of perpetual motion.
Elle, I wonder, could you show us the same thing in your part? So just show us, we'll skip the first one, so just the really musical line and where you would head to with that phrase.
Indeed. I will probably not get through the whole phrase, but I will try.
I didn't either.
Cool.
Awesome, thank you. I think with all of these lines, they're all heading towards that last word est. Beati quorum viae integra est, and treating it as a full sentence. In the alto line, it's keeping everything as legato as you possibly can. Beati quorum viae integra est. And then the gents take over and do exactly the same. L.
Say it's just enjoying our duet as well. Like we've got some really lovely motion together, and actually it was quite nice to sing along with just Katie's part and then me singing over the top muted, and I was like, oh, it's yay, that's really fun. So yeah, find those moments to enjoy.
Absolutely. The gents then take over that idea, and they pretty much do the same thing that we do, with similar ideas of tension and release. They get that fun E natural. So if you're at a bass towards the bottom of that page where things just change slightly, and then we build into the second page with the more exultant and so on. I
Soprano, Katie.
Soprano line, because I can hold that for about 2 seconds and then I'm good. I'm really good. So that second page, really building into it and letting the dynamic grow with it, but always keeping this idea of tempo. Things to watch out for when you get to the end of the sentence, not slowing up too much. It's very easy to end this piece at multiple different locations so for example, if an audience had never heard it before, to get halfway through the piece, hear the end of a sentence, then want to go, that would not be ideal. So trying to keep this tempo going with this one in a bar, keeping the movement and the tension and release going in the voices until we really get to the end of the piece. I think we should possibly pause there. Andrew, do you want to sing through just the beginning of this section with the track? So maybe stopping. How about stopping about 1:24? So Dominique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
And thinking about those ideas that we've talked about. So thinking about keeping the tempo moving, thinking about tension and release. So letting the phrases be really, really big. Let's have a go.
Oh, wait a minute. That's not the right thing. Just a mo, technical glitch.
Absolutely fine. Elle, was this the first video that you ever did with VOCES8?
It was. I was in 5-inch heels because I was like, I'm so small and everyone else is taller than me.
I love the dungaree dress that you wear for it. I think it's really cool.
Ah, thanks.
Line.
That does not fit anymore. That is long gone. Years of touring doesn't fit anymore.
Right, let's have a listen.
I got there just in time to finish.
Absolutely. It's just, I don't know how you do it. There's so many things.
Sorry.
So many things.
No, not at all. So that's a bit of an intro to Beati. So with some overarching ideas for the piece about tempo and about tension release. We're going to put that one to the side for now and leave the lads something to do in their session later this week. I'm going to pass on to Andrea, who's going to take...
I wondered whether we might just have a quick chat before we finish with the music and just measure level things up. I was just thinking about all these great composers of pieces that we've sung today, but it is International Women's Day.
Woo!
I did want to just flag also that we had a fantastic concert last night from Joanna McGregor, who's a pianist, and she did a concert for us for Live from London called Soul of a Woman, and it was just awesome, and a whole female composed program, and it featured composers like Florence Price, Eleanor Alberger, who else is in there? Margaret Bonds featuring, and some songs by Nina Simone, which Joanna rearranged as well. And it's just a really wonderful celebration of a load of fantastic music. So please go and do go and check that out. There are some highlights up already, actually. If you check out the Facebook page or go to YouTube. Speedy, yeah. Barney was really on it last night.
Or just wasn't sleeping.
That's the baby awake and being like, well,
you might as well do some work, you know. So please go and check that out. It's awesome. And also, while we're on female composers, we should also bring a little spotlight to our own composer in residence at the moment, who is Roxanna Pinupnik. She's been with us for since last season, I believe. So we're really looking forward to getting, in the next few months or so, getting a brand new piece from her. We've been really enjoying singing her piece called Love Endureth in our concerts over the last year, 18 months, 2 years. It's an absolutely amazing piece. And Molly, I was going to ask you just quickly about it as well, because I know we very cruelly put it on the audition list. It is quite tricky, a tricky piece to sing, and there's a particularly tricky soprano solo in the middle of it, which is in the second sopranos. So, Molly, I just wondered whether you had anything you wanted to share about your experience of that piece or the process.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed learning it. I think it's so much fun. I think the soprano solo is so luxurious. I definitely got picked up on for taking too long over lines. And then I really like that middle section, that bit in, is it, I think? The like, and you suddenly have to become a bit of an alto. But I quite enjoyed going a bit chesty in that part. So I thought, it was really interesting. It had lots of like really cool sections.
It's an amazing piece. It's really
really cool.
There's a whole album called Love Abide, which Love Endureth is on, of Roxanna's music, and it's just got so many great things, and you really get a flavour for all of her different influences, and she takes influences from all over the world and different musical traditions as well, and ties them into this fantastic and really unique harmonic sound, and it's just really, really enjoyable. I also really like the Zen Love Song, which is on there, which VOCES8 recorded a few years ago, and that's also a real treat. So please do go and check that music out.
My favourite ones on that album that is on my listening list at the moment is Oh Hearken. I completely recommend going and listening to that one. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Okay, so to finish, I am going to have a little look at this piece of Kevin Allen. It's called O Sacrum Convivium. So if you're having a look for it, you can find it, I think it's towards the end of the pack. I can't remember where it comes now. Great. So what I'll do is just have a little playthrough at least of the very beginning of it, and we can hear sort of a flavour of it. Some of you might have already heard a little bit of it from the session with the boys the other day. They looked at it. Oh, that is not working. My thing is not functioning. Oh, we've got a problem.
Oh no.
Right, let's have a little check.
I'm loving, there is so much love in the chat for the concert last night.
Yay.
It was really cool.
Good.
I'm just going to turn my speaker. Oh, yeah, that should be working. No, okay, I'm going to just play it through my phone. Sorry if the quality maybe isn't quite as good, but I'm going to give it a go. It's better than nothing.
It is.
Absolutely.
All right. Great. We're just going to cut there for now in the interest of time. So you can hear it as the guys mentioned the other day. It's actually a really interesting piece because it is a contemporary piece of music. Kevin Allen's a alive and well composer, so it's really harking back to that old style, that kind of old polyphonic writing as well. So actually finding all those kind of old tendencies we have to like lean into those harmonies and the kind of the setup of all the suspensions and things like that is really, really nice. And it's actually, I mean, we were saying it's a great way to introduce young singers to early music, I think, using something contemporary and kind of as getting a flavour for it. So I really like it. It's also got this fantastic movement between paces throughout the piece. So we start off with this very kind of stretched long phrases of "O sacrum convivium" and really stretching out the words, and then we start really picking things up when you get "in quo Christus" and things start to roll a little bit more, and then we start to get a little bit more of these melismas. So when we have, for example, in bar 16 here on the screen in the alto line, where you have just one syllable that lasts over lots of different notes, we call that a melisma, and we have a few more of those kind of starting to creep in then as the music goes on, stretch it out. And actually just where I stopped the music, it goes into this second section, which is a lot more flowing and has a lot more of these like descending flowing lines. So there's just so much in there to learn in just 2 short pages. Katie?
If you haven't got this in your resource pack that you've got with you, it's worth checking out. There is an updated resource pack which does include it if you're not finding it. So I think Anne Wright has put a link to the pack on the chat, and Andrew said it somewhere else as well, but I can't remember where.
It's in the details of the video, right at the top of the chat.
Absolutely. If you click on that link and follow through to where the PDF is, you'll find the score at the very end of the booklet. Great.
Thank you, Katie. One of the things about this is, of course, we're thinking about the scoring as well. So if you're thinking about which part you want to sing, it's in just 3 parts, and we've put it into this key so that everybody can take part, no matter what voice part you are. But have a little look through and maybe a little bit of an experiment between these parts, because the soprano part doesn't go very high. So it might be, if you're a little bit lower, that you want to go into the secundus part and sing alto. So do have a little sort of play around with that. One of the things that I have to think about really sort of particularly in this piece, because it does sit a little bit lower in tessitura compared with a lot of music we do, and of course the more parts you have in a piece of music, the higher the soprano tends to get sort of pushed up in the mix, and the lower the bass. So singing something that's kind of on the stave or even below the stave can feel quite unusual to us, and certainly to me, where I'm usually up the top of the stave and over it on the other side. So I have to really think about making sure that I'm not pushing too hard when things are a little bit lower in my voice. So thinking about this particular phrase here, just where we finish the track, where it goes down to a bottom B, which is probably, you know, the lowest note that we normally, you know, sing in the repertoire. And certainly it's the lowest note for those of you who use Sibelius or scoring software. You know, you start to get the notes going red. You get the warning colours in scoring repertoire where it's saying, no, they can't possibly sing this low, don't do it. So I think just really taking care to not push the voice, not put too much strain on the muscles, which can be really tempting to do to try and project when we're a bit lower. So when we get to this last phrase, the passionis eius, actually keeping that eius, it's the end of a phrase. We can keep it really nice and relaxed and really very nice and soft. And if we start getting too much grit in it, it can actually be not very good for us. It's probably more likely to start making us a little bit hoarse in our voices. So if we get to go eius, you know, you can hear a bit of the grit in there. You know, it's not conducive. So keep it nice and soft if you're a soprano, and then you can enjoy the moments that it comes a little bit up and over the top. Katie, just quickly from your point of view, because I know that you sing the alto line in this, which is quite low, and whether you had any similar sort of tips for people who are tackling that part.
I think if you're on the alto line, because as you say, it does go quite low, it's just keeping everything really relaxed. You can do so much with text. You don't actually have to do too much with volume the whole time. So again, finding light and shade in the parts as you go through. If you do find it goes a little bit too low for you, just back off on it a little bit. So rather than trying to really chest it, go for it, even if you're kind of at the crackling stage and there's not really that much note and more crackling. Go for a softer sound. I'm now thinking of like crackling as in you get in a pub, and I'm now missing pubs, and that's how my brain works. But yeah, keeping everything really gentle on your voice, and getting as much shape in the line as you can.
Awesome, thank you. Well, I think we're going to need to leave it there for today, but do have a look at those scores, and go and head to the resources pack or the DA, where you can match up some audio with your scores and kind of learn as you go along there, and get those notes.
Yeah, I was going to say we didn't actually listen through the Eric Choate, so do go listen to it, 'cause it's a beautiful piece, and put what we talked about into context.
Yeah, absolutely. So great. So this is the last upper voice session that we've got. The boys have got another one later this week. So do join them for that. As I say, it's always useful to be able to sort of hear how the other parts are working as much as our own, and pick up a few tips and bits and pieces on the way. But then we'll have a big group workshop before the event itself on the 21st of March as well. So 5 p.m. GMT. For those of you in the USA, just a little flag that we know that your clocks go back this coming weekend. If you're in the USA for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be 4 hours out of Eastern time instead of the usual 5 hours for the next 2 weeks, until we decide to change ours. So just do double check your timings for that. It's always a little bit of a muddle in my head to sort out. Yeah, I was just thinking the kind of Kylie Minogue.
Love it.
Yeah. Or is that way too early north?
Isn't it?
I love it. If you missed any of the sessions and you want to catch up on any of these sessions with Paul, with the lower voices, or the last one with us, have a look on YouTube on our subscriber page.
Channel?
What should I say? On YouTube. You'll find it on there. Or go through Facebook and you'll find it in the video links there too.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody, and thank you for coming and saying hi, Molly.
Yeah, Molly.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, part of the team. So we'll catch up again soon. But maybe, maybe Singing London won't be the end of doing some little sessions like this every now and then. So keep your ear to the ground, and we hope to see you soon. And keep practicing, prep that rep, and we will see you. Thank you. That's my new catchphrase.
Prep that rep.
And and we'll see you in a few days' time for the boys, and then on the 21st for Singing London. Thanks very much for coming, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.